Yeah, he talked about him last week. So this all goes back to the same thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
See, Philos, Biblos, and Porphyri are, well,
Yeah.
mostly Porphyri. He's the one that started the Neoplatonist movement.
That's why we got into Neoplatonism, because I have him Porphyri, but it's also a sort of rock as well. Porphyri the Tyri was a Neoplaton philosopher, and but Porphyri, born in Lebanon, yeah, and then he's influenced by Plato, which I remember they were thinking that Plato. We were talking about how they think Plato is the responsible for the Neoplatonism movement, and it's
they're
not
two totally different.
Two totally different concepts, right? I remember somewhat of that from our conversation last week. Excuse me, I had to warm my tea up again, so that's the beeping in the background.
Now, the Phoenician history is the oldest non-coded document of our historical archives. Furthermore, it is particularly valuable because of its author. Senechuniathon was a free man who did not hesitate to announce myths. Now, that's the part that I read the other day. So, judging from the fragments of the Phoenician history, Senechuniathon appears to have been a contemporary of Semiramis, 2,000 years before Christ. If so, his book would go back into fabled antiquity. Senechuniathon, like Vagasa in India, is said to have been a compiler of extremely ancient theological and historical documents that have been transmitted to him either by oral tradition or writing. So that's what we went over in the last one.
Spontaneous, yeah, here he is. And Iamblichus, you just see him right here. I'm just reading, they were saying, showing a correlation between Iamblichus and Plotinus to Porphyri, or Porphyri, am I saying it right now? Porphyri.
Yeah, Porphyri.
So so I guess for me, how would you describe their influence in regards to developing culture? Because I how do we correlate it towards like our, I guess I would like to say our transformations or our development, evolution, more so probably be the correct terminology. How do we correlate their influence in regards to such?
Well, first you have to take into consideration Toth, okay? Tawatus. Right?
Yeah.
Now, Tawatus was eventually created into Toth. He also became Hermes Trismegistus, and a lot of secret societies formed around that, and mystery schools. Like back during the old days of Greece, they had mystery schools, and Neoplatonism was a big part of that. They practiced in the mystery schools and the teachings and stuff. And they, like Porphyri, alright, not everything that he wrote was barbaric. I mean, he was very scientific in a lot of things that he did, and he was inspired by these teachings, and they were just handed off. And really saying that the Greeks stole these people's freaking heritage isn't true. I should re-say that, you know what I mean? They basically just merged it into their cultures.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And all of these people back in those days did that, you know what I mean? Like the Egyptians.
They do it now.
Yeah,
I mean, because we all come from the same place. But that's what I was talking about before. We make a big deal about the separation, but the truth be the same. One unit, like it all started as one, and then it broke off into different cultures and different areas. But because
of the foundation, the roots, the where we come from, it being completely connected, it seems as if they're taking cultures, or we're taking cultures, or you get they're acting black or they're acting white, but literally we are like the same, not the same people. We're not created equal. Let's not do it like that. But we come from the same place. So it's inevitable when you're getting fine tuned and getting down to the inside of who you are and where you come from, that you're going to incorporate cultures that seem different from what you may not been practicing currently. I don't think people understand that part though.
Now, see, like with Philo,
Follow Biblis.
now, and he wrote his collection of 9 books that he divided Senator's collections. He wrote a book and divided it into 9 books, or actually, he has 9 books of it.
I see these
that he did, and the preface of the first book he writes as follows: things being thus, Senator, a very studious and active man who desired above all else to know the principles of things, and that of which all that exists is formed, diligently inquired into the writings of Tawatus, having learned that of all the men who have ever appeared under the sun, Tawatus was the first to conceive the invention of letters and open the way for written documents. He therefore made him the foundation of his entire discourse. It was Tawatos whom the Egyptians called Toit, and the Alexandrians called Thoth, which the Greeks translated as Hermes or Mercury. Now, it was the Alexandrians that actually called him Thoth. Now, the Egyptians called him Toit.
See, and I never knew that. This is the first time I'm ever even hearing that. And even when you look it up, like you look up TOTH and you just look him up, it's like they automatically pull up like all the stuff about Egypt and not even really say much. Well, I might just not have gotten deep enough. THOTH, and I have them all as Egypt. See, ancient Egypt. Everything is ancient Egypt, and you're saying it's the Alexandria. That's wild.
And see, Alexandria,
everything's Egypt.
Alexandria is where everything gets warped, or where it always got warped, because the Alexandrians would they were notorious for that stuff. Like they wanted to mingle all these religions,
and that was near Lebanon, right? Isn't Alexandria?
No, that was Alexandria is right in Egypt, right? You know where the Nile comes out?
Yeah.
Okay, Alexandria was right there in that area.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't include Alexandrians as like actual like Egyptians, really, because like that was more of Alexander the Great and all the Greeks when they came to Egypt, and they kind of influenced the Egyptians to where they had a mix of Greek and Egyptian theology going on there, and that's where Thoth came from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're notorious for that too, because like I was getting ready to say, the Gnostics. Okay, the Gnostics are a good example of that as well. Like if you read the Gnostics, you'll hear a real strong Egyptian influence in it, and it's not really the Egyptians, it's the Alexandrians that did all that, because Christianity hit real big in that region, and they started incorporating again, and that's one of the things I do.
Is it Gnostick or Gnostics Gnostics?
It's GNO.
What?
GNO.
Hold on 1 second.
I see.
Got it.
All right.
Okay.
Now, having said these things, Philo denounced the newcomers who, after those writings wrongly and untruthfully introduced allegories, theories, and expositions of physics into fables concerning the gods. He continues, but more recent religious scholars destroyed all vestiges of events that occurred after the origin of things, inventing allegories within fables and combining them in such a way as to unite them with the movement of the universe. This is how they instituted mysteries and spread such thick shadows over all those things that it was no longer easy to determine what had really occurred. But Sanchuniathon discovered the secret writings of the Ammonians, which were known to very few people, and studied everything they contained. He then achieved his goal by setting aside the fable based on allegories until in later times there appeared priests who wanted to dissimulate the truth and restore to honor that fable which was the origin of the mystery and had not yet penetrated among the Greeks. After more observations, Philo continued in his preface. It must be stated at the outset, for greater clarity and impartial knowledge of everything that follows, that the most ancient of the barbarians, notably the Phoenicians and Egyptians, who have served as guides for all other men, considered the greatest gods to be those who made discoveries to aid our existence, or who conferred benefits of any kind on the various populations. They called them benefactors because of the many benefits they owed to them. They worshipped them as gods. As for that purpose, they re-edificated already existing temples to them. They erected pillars and branches to them and worshipped those objects with great devotion. The Phoenicians dedicated their greatest festivals to them and gave the constellations the names of their kings, some of whom were already regarded as gods. They recognized as natural gods only the sun, the moon, the planets, the stars, and other things in that general category, so that there were mortal gods and immortal gods. And that is what is written by Philo. That's pretty good. That's some of the stuff that I remember going over on that, you know what I mean? And that's basically what he's saying is what I was saying, you know, like they took these humans who were benefactors and actually help man benefit from their good deeds, and they deified them, made them into gods.